Okay. Hello again. My name is Emma, and welcome to Saturday Night Threads. I have my lens on Zoom, so that's why it looks so close. But we're going to do knitting again. That's what I'm trying. I'm trying to concentrate on the knitting right now because I really want to get into knitting. Don't let this happen to your... I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of like bent. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, I don't know how it got bent, but there's just, I tried. I can't unbend it. So, I could have sworn I seen a hair in here somewhere. Okay, so I was going to change the thread, the yarn, but I said, you know what, I'm just going to keep at it. I'm just going to keep at it because I want you to see, I want us both to see the difference of how it's, if I keep changing the thread, it's going to take me forever for it to go down. So again, don't forget that you have to make a knot first, and then you have to cast on, and then that's when you start doing your knitting. Now, in order to get the knitting how it's supposed to look like, you're doing two things. You're not only knitting, which I'm doing here. In order to start seeing the effect of the ribs, of the ripples or the ribs, I think that's what it's called. The ribbing. You have to go, and I'll show you that after we, you have, I'm sorry, I'm still congested. Once you have practiced enough of doing the knitting, then I'll show you how to purl. And that's when you start getting the ribbing. You knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, or knit, purl, 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 purl. And that's when you start seeing the difference. That you'll see all knitting, then you'll see all the purls, and then all knitting, and then you'll see that little dent or that little gap where you'll have like ridges. Okay, but first, right now, we're still doing knitting. Knitting is when you're going in through the back. Okay, you're going in through the back. Purling is when you're coming in through the front. Okay, but right now we're still on knitting. Now don't forget, you have to make that knot, which is, I think I showed you. It's the 2 fingers, and then you go a crisscross, and then you pull this one out, and there's your loop, okay? And then, of course, you'll do the casting on, which is, you grab 2 of them, you separate, and then you go in, and then you go, and that's your casting on, okay? But we already did that, so just go on some tutorials, and I'll do that again. Just go on some tutorials and practice, because that's basically what we're doing. We're just practicing. So right now, because I already, this is how far I got already, and it looks awful, like seriously awful. But I'm like, I'm just going to go with it. I'm just going to go with it, because I know later on when you start seeing how it looks, then you'll start to, and always remember that your tail is always here, and the part that you're knitting is coming out from the yarn from here, okay? So, and again, when you're first starting, or when, because it's kind of hard, people really don't know how to handle the needles. So when you're first starting, if you have to anchor it, not between your breasts, but if you have to anchor it like on your shoulder or something, just to start, anchor it somewhere so it can hold, so it can hold the needle somewhere. Or if you're doing it on your knees, you can anchor it on one of your thighs, and you can do it, on your thigh. You can just anchor this part somewhere so it'll be easier for you to work with. Once you don't have to anchor it anymore, then yeah, you can just do it freehand and just keep going. Like I've seen so many ladies back in the day. I mean, they're just going and going, and they're not even looking at the needles, which even used to drive me even more nuts. How can they do that? They're not even watching what they're doing. They're just talking and knitting and talking. How the hell do they do that? Okay, so I did figure out finally, because I was like, how the heck was I couldn't remember how I was holding the needles. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? So I ended up just practicing a little bit. And I grabbed the yarn and I went through here, and then, I went like that around, and I go, no, that's not how I did it. That's not the way I did it. Something's wrong. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it the same way I did how I do crochet. So that's what I did. So I grabbed the thread just like I would crocheting, and I kept everything, in between my hand, my fingers. And that's how I did it. I go, oh, and I did it the same way as I did as if I'm crocheting. So again, and now because the loops are a lot more looser, I can put my needle in. So again, when you're casting on, don't be like me. Don't make the loops tight. Make them loose. Otherwise, you won't be able to get, your needle in. So again, you're going over and you're pulling out, and you're just casting off. So you're going inside a loop through the back. You can hold it here if you want. Yarn over and then pull. Okay. Yarn over and then just pull the loop out. Like I said, this takes a little bit of finesse, a little practice, and you'll get it. So you put it in through the back. If you can hold both needles and then put the loop around the other needle and then pull out, that'll be great. And like I said, all you're doing is you're holding these two tips, okay? This is what you're working with. Not this. Not these guys. These two little points. That's what you're working with. And you always have to twist your thread and push it up, okay? Just push it up. Otherwise, because it's one thing I didn't like about knitting is that my yarn was constantly twisting, like all the time, and I couldn't understand why it was doing that. I usually, what I was doing before, I would anchor, because I would anchor the needle on my thigh because it was easier and faster for me. So I'd be like this. I'd be going, I know you can't see, but I'd be going down. But, or just keep it on the table if you have to. But, whatever makes the, what do you call it? You anchoring the thread down somewhere, whatever is easy. Now, when you get to this point, just push it down. Just start pushing your work down. And again, you always got to keep doing this. Well, at least I have to keep doing this. So I'm just gonna go back. And I hate it because I don't see no other way to push the thread up, and I always feel like I always have to stop. And so you go in to the back. You go into the loop, into the back, yarn over, and then cast off. Go in, yarn over, cast off. Go in, yarn over, and cast off. Go in the loop in the back, yarn over, and it's better for you if you make sure when you go in and you're holding both needles and you yarn over that you push that loop towards the back so you can pull it out and up. So you go in, hold it, push it back, and then cast off. Go in, yarn over, push it back, and then cast off. Do it slowly. Take your time, because if you try to go too fast, then that's how you screw up. And like I said, always push the yarn towards those tips. Let me do this again. Because it has to go in, yarn over, push it to the back. I mean from here, push it to that. Push it, it's in, yarn over, push this to the back, and you'll see where it has to come out. And cast off. So you go in, hold it, yarn over, push it to the back, and then pull it and cast off. Go to the back, yarn over, and like I said, it just takes a matter of practice. And like I said, and I was lucky because when I was first trying to learn how to knit, I wasn't really sure what I was doing. I couldn't understand the book. It was confusing me. And I was like, something's wrong. This is not right. I'm not getting the look of the knitting effect. So I was like, something's not right. But I had my husband had a friend. And he once told me, because he saw me that I was trying to learn how to knit. And he goes, my grandma was always knitting all the time. And I was like, oh, that's cute. That's nice to know. How's that going to help me? You know, good information, but, you know, okay, nice to know. And he goes, yeah, she used to knit all the time, and how she would do it is that she would knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. And then when he told me that, I kind of like wasn't really paying attention. And, you know, like, yeah, okay, this is a guy and he's going to try to tell me how to knit, you know. What does he know about knitting, right? But obviously, you know, he knew enough because he watched his grandma doing it all the time. So, and then when I started doing it again and really getting into it again, I go, wait a minute, I think he has something here. I think he got something. So let me try what he said. So I went back to the book and I started to knit and then purl. Let me do that one over. Knit and then purl. And then I started seeing the effect. I said, oh, wow, I was doing it wrong the whole time. He must have thought I was an idiot. Like, I told you were doing it wrong. Yeah, I'm trying to help you here. And yeah, it was because of him that I was like, oh, that's how you do it. So at that point, I was really appreciative of him. I was like, wow. Okay, so obviously he did know. So don't ever think that, a guy doesn't know how to knit, because obviously they know how to. And crochet, no less, too. Okay, so let's see. So you could see some of the, like I said, this looks really bad because I wasn't, like I said, I just feel like I'm starting like all over again. Okay, so because I haven't done this like for the longest time. So we're just we're gonna do another row. Again, your tail always has to be on this side, or if it's on the other side, it'll be on this side, but your yarn always has to be coming out from here. Okay, so wind it up to your back. You're gonna put the yarn through the first one and then pull it out, and then your first one. And then as you start, once you start going and once you start getting the hang of it, as I think I remember, man, I haven't done this for years. The last time I was knitting is when I was doing the cables. And that's been like, oh man, wow, I don't know, like 3-4 years. I have not picked up any needles. And I was like, no, I really need to get back into this. I want to learn how to make sweaters. I want to learn how to make socks. I want to learn how to make like a vest. So as soon as you start, getting comfortable, then that's when you know that you can start going, a little bit faster. It's making noise because I'm using the table as an anchor, so that's the noise you're hearing. Usually, like I said, I would use my my chest, or I would use my thigh. But whatever you need to anchor the needle until you don't have to anchor it anymore. Just make sure all your thread doesn't, fall out. I mean, it shouldn't, but if you're pulling on it too much or something, there's a pretty chance you'll unravel whatever it is that you're doing. Now, that's one thing about dropping a stitch and picking up a stitch. I mean, I'm still learning that as well, because when I was knitting and I was making the cables, I was like, whoa, what am I doing here? I see how it's so stretched out? You want to push all of that up. You want to push it all up, so it could be easier for you to manage. Otherwise, they're way too far apart. And you want all your loops to be close to the end of the needle as possible. And that's what makes you go faster, because all the loops are like close to the end of the needle. And sometimes you could just push them. You can just push them forward, but sometimes they just start coming so far apart that you actually have to like stop and so just be careful that your loops don't come off. That's what used to scare me. I'm like, oh my God, they're all gonna come off, and then I have to start all over again. But you're the one that's controlling the needle, so just take your time. Don't be in a hurry to learn something. Like I was always in a hurry to learn how to do stuff. Just when I was I'm doing my book nook, and I wanted a Halloween theme. So I just finished making some stairs and I was like, oh my God, you talked about trial and error. I was like, whoa, what did I just do? You know, it just, the way I thought I was going to do it in my head, it didn't come out the way. The end result just didn't work. And I was like, okay, so now what am I going to do? So I had to like well, not really reconstruct the stairs, but I had to, how would you call it? Modify it so that it would be more oops, see, that's what I mean. Now, if this happens, just put the loops back in your thread, just like what happened to me. Okay, because then they get too close to the edge and they pop out. I had to almost reconstruct the stairs because I ended up wetting the stairs with paint and they just didn't look like stairs anymore. So I had to put two sides of cardboard on the sides so it could finally look like stairs. I mean, it came out cute, but I didn't want the stairs to be that high. But anyway, it came out the way it did. So, okay, so again, I'm gonna keep doing this just so that you can see. Try to see the stitches. I'll try not to put so many stitches next time. I think I got way too many here. And then they have the circle things too. The knitting with circles, which I'm trying to see. Okay, so that's how they look like. Okay, I know they look lumpy right now, but hopefully by next week, maybe I'll have more. But I'm trying to figure out which one is the right side. Okay, so I think this is the back side. And this is the right side. This is the right side. But I'm going to do more like 3, 4. I'm going to try if I can remember to do it. So I'll have a little bit more rows that you can see. And then we'll start purling. And then you'll start seeing the difference. Okay? So we're doing this together. We're doing this together. And if you see a tutorial and you say, oh, I got a better way to do it, do it. Because the faster you learn, the faster you're going to learn how to make socks and blankets and vests and sweaters and all that other stuff. So, okay, so yeah. So this is what we got so far. I'm going to do a few more rows during the week. And then what I'll do is, let me put you back a little bit. I was way too close. And then what we're going to do is that after I have a few rows on there, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to start purling. So this way we'll practice purling, and then a week after that, then we'll start doing the knitting and purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. Then again, I'll show you how to make the knot, and I'll show you how to cast on. And like I just showed you, I don't have to like unwind everything to show you. I can just do it right then and there, right there. So that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna keep it up, and I'm not done because I still am trying to. I still have not made my cozy warmers, so I had to dig that out. I just have so many projects that I'm trying to do, but I'm gonna try to the best to try to get to all of them. Okay, guys. Probably after we're finished learning how to knit, then I'm gonna get on the cozy warmers. We'll see. Okay, guys. So like a fish in the sea, so glad you caught me. And we will see you next week on Saturday Night Threads. Bye.